What? Fiat USA has provided a free advertisement for the Tesla Cybertruck in a new commercial for its all-new 2024 Fiat 500e EV. I think they sort of tried to make fun of the Cybertruck, but not really. It's definitely not working. If anything, I would be more likely to buy a Cybertruck after seeing it. I mean, they're not dissing it or anything like that. They're just pointing out some obvious things, like for example for parking, and they have some dramatic music when they show the Cybertruck, which I'm not going to play here because I don't want my channel to be deleted, because you get a copyright strike if you do that. But this is definitely a positive for Tesla, so thank you, Fiat. Maybe that's why you're going bankrupt. You're advertising other companies instead of yours. The Tesla Cybertruck account on X actually replied to this advertisement saying, okay, thanks for the compliments. I definitely agree with Omar that some people after watching this advertisement will say, you know what, I want a Tesla, I want a Cybertruck, this is amazing. Best from Tesla actually just flat out said Fiat really nailed the Cybertruck ad, so there's actually nothing negative about it. Then Ives says he's even more bullish after the Tesla Robotaxi event. Looking at Dan Ives' track record, it's actually pretty good. He said buy Tesla in 2018, and if you load it up on that, you made a lot of money. And here's just a very short clip from Dan Ives.
I mean, we were very impressed. I mean, I thought in 25 years of going to events like this was, I think, a jaw-dropper event relative to the technology that's coming out. Now, look, did it lack details? Yeah, and that's the reason the stock's down. I get it. But in terms of cybercab, autonomous, the future, what I believe, and when I look at Optimus and in terms of where that's going to go, unsupervised FSD, Texas, California. I mean, Nicole, in my opinion, you walk away from there more bullish, not less bullish, but now it's about execution. But I don't think there's anything that was disappointing coming out of that, what I view as just really a historical event that we'll view as historical 3-4 years from now. I actually think the reason the stock's down was because there was no Model 2 announcement in terms of the sub 30K vehicle, the next gen. We think there'll be a Model 2 and a Model 2.5, but they were never going to do it there. That's something we still believe is in 2025. But I think, as we've seen many times, investors in Tesla, they want more, but that's not necessarily their style. They are going to lack details. Then you'll get more, I think, on the earnings call, and then more as we go into the next 3 to 6 months. But it's not a reason to sell the stock. I actually think the future of Tesla is brighter today than it was a year ago.
Dan Ives basically talked about Tesla's trail of destruction, and we are seeing evidence of that. Let me show you. Uber CEO says competing with Tesla is no easy matter, and he would love to partner with Tesla on robotaxis. And just in April, the CEO of Uber said he doubts Tesla owners will want strangers in their cars all day. That's a major change. He says we really want to partner with the autonomous industry. He points out 3 potential paths for Uber once Tesla launches its robotaxis. Number 1, competing with the EV giant, working with Musk's company, or have its own autonomous vehicles on its network, or combining the two. So his language has completely changed from, oh, I don't think Tesla is going to do this, to now, if Tesla does this, we are completely screwed, so please, let's partner up. He also says that Uber drivers love Teslas, but he's downplaying the situation here a little bit. I don't think this is going to be a winner-take-all marketplace. We believe in the spirit of partnership. We'll see what Tesla does. He continues, our hope is that to the extent that Elon Musk and Tesla build some great technology, when it's safe and ready to use, they plug it into the Uber network and we can all win together. Not gonna happen because Tesla wants that big piece of commissions from every single ride. If you can eliminate the driver, basically there's not much that Uber has to offer to Tesla, almost nothing at all. And for those who say that Uber would be really important to Tesla, because this way Tesla could easily and quickly get regulatory approval everywhere, since Uber has approval, at least for ride sharing already. How about Lyft? Lyft also has approval pretty much everywhere, at least in the United States of America, and it's only worth $5.5 billion. Tesla could just buy this whole thing in cash. Why does Tesla need Uber? This is an existential crisis for Uber, so the CEO is really scared. In the meantime, however, Tesla's Robotaxi will have the 4680 cells. And just to be clear, these Robotaxis with 4680 batteries, they will not be on the Uber network. Uber right now is worth $170 billion. It's too expensive for Tesla to buy. It's not worth it. If I was an Uber investor right now, I would be freaking out. I would be selling everything. I sure would not want to find out what would happen to Uber stock if I was an investor when Tesla solves full self-driving and makes it safer than human driving. Back to 4680 batteries. These batteries should be LFP batteries actually, which makes sense because you can charge these batteries over and over and over again. Also, as you can see below, the LFP battery pack is 10 out of 10 across the board except for energy density, where it would perform poorly at 6 out of 10, but the Robotaxi only needs 200 miles of range, which is what Tesla is targeting. By the way, the fact that Tesla is going to use the 4680 batteries for the Robotaxi is confirmed by Tesla directly, as you can see here in the video, pretty much. So that's good. I like these animations. How do we know these are 4680 batteries, but there are no measurements? Well, you can just count them. And if you thought we are finished with Tesla's trail of destruction, oh, no, it just keeps on getting better and better. Anthony Levadovsky, who co-founded Google's Waymo, says Tesla has a huge advantage in data in the self-driving race. We are finally admitting that out loud. I'd rather be in Tesla's shoes than in Waymo's shoes. Tesla already has cars on the road, some of which use semi-autonomous features for tasks such as parking and lane switching, and I use the lane switching and full self-driving every day when I drive, and I love it. The progress in the last 2 years, it's amazing. And learning all the while. Musk has the greatest fleet to do this, he said. Do you remember the companies admitting that Tesla's charging standard is superior to the previous old charging standard? Do you remember companies saying that? And do you remember how fast these companies then finally realized, oh, we should just, license or adopt this from Tesla? It actually took a while, but once the first company did the licensing deal, everyone else just followed so quickly. The exact same thing eventually is going to happen with FSD, but with this, I think it is going to take more time because it's more of an existential decision for some of these automakers. So if you can't figure this out, we are toast. Some of you, yes, absolutely. Well, if you don't license it from Tesla, you certainly are going to be toast. There's millions of Teslas out there that are constantly alerting, feeding back their data to Tesla to make the product better. And that's ultimately what's really going to be the differentiator here, that you have the richest, most consistent data to continuously improve over time. What have I been talking about for years now? This exact same thing, which competition now is admitting is absolutely true. I would say that Tesla has examples of maybe 10,000 or maybe 1,000,000 times more data than Waymo does in terms of all other scenarios of driving, he added. He just basically told us it's impossible for Waymo to win. Hey, look, I co-founded the company. I want to be nice to that company, so I'm not going to say it out loud, but indirectly, yeah, that's exactly what I just said. A big shout out goes to this man for being so brutally honest and sort of destroying, well, not destroying, but just admitting that his baby, has no chance of competing here, realistically speaking, in the very long term. By the way, he's called the godfather of driverless cars. At least the Business Insider calls him the godfather of self-driving cars. Marcus Brownlee says, if Tesla Robotaxi actually comes out before 2027 for $30,000, he will shave his head. He's one of the biggest tech influencers out there. So here's a preview of how this is likely to turn out. Now, I personally, when this happens, I will get into a Cybercab, pull up his video of him shaving his head. I'm looking forward to it. Tesla's AI lead, Ashok, just shared with us some important information about the Re-Robot event. They had 19 Cybercabs, 29 Model Ys, driving themselves 1,300 trips, transporting over 2,000 guests, continuous operation of over 3.5 hours, and every trip was perfectly safe. It was really amazing to see users take the Robotaxis for granted. They didn't seem to think twice before crossing in front of it, walking alongside it, Robotaxis interacting with one another, etc. They just behaved the same way they would around human-driven vehicles. And here's the best part. which before was rumored by Omar and now has been officially confirmed by Ashok. The best part was that almost all of the autonomy demonstrated was using close to the production AI software, which will ship soon in V13. So this was basically V13. So this is major news dropped by a Tesla executive, Ashok. Finally, it took an immense amount of effort from very talented team members to pull this off. The event was super motivating for the team, and we are looking forward to bringing this to the real world as soon as possible. You know, a few years ago, it was all just Elon Musk sort of being the face of Tesla, but now you're seeing more and more posts from other Tesla executives like Ashok here on X, and I feel like even if Elon Musk steps away, I think Tesla is in pretty good hands compared to what it was before a few years ago where Elon was the only face of the company. So now I think if something, let's say, did happen to Elon Musk, knock on wood, nothing happens hopefully, I think the investors wouldn't be freaking out as much as before they would have. The best thing about V13 is that it's expected to be released this month and supposedly it's going to be quite a bit better. Now, I went straight from 12.3.6 to the latest FSD version that's available right now, and the steering wheel nag being gone, that's such a major improvement. There is one thing that I wish they would have made a bit more similar to 12.3.6, which is that version, at least for me here in Vancouver City, Canada, the speed, auto speed worked much better. The current version, I feel like it's a bit too slow. It is smoother though, and that's a version that I think is more suitable for most people. I'm a bit more comfortable giving this build to a close friend to try compared to the previous versions, for example. Wow, Alex did some math here. Out of the 1,300 Cybercab trips for 2,000 guests, 700 trips were single occupancy, 54% of them. 600 trips were double occupancy. So even at a Tesla fan-filled event, people preferred to ride alone. There's also a comment from the Tesla bot team. We had about 20 active bots at all times, while of course they were human-assisted to some extent to help showcase our vision of an amazing feature. They walked, balanced, and danced on their own for 4 hours straight with only one single fall. So there was a fall actually. Someone's handbag caught a bot's hand. Oh, so unintentional assault on the Tesla bot. Making nice demo videos is not easy, but ensuring a safe live operation of many humanoids for hours in a public outdoor environment imposed a much higher bar. So not a single bot fell because of something the bot did. A bot was basically pushed, and that's why the bot fell. And from this, we are also learning that Tesla bots can operate for about 4 hours without being charged. The engineer continues here, further progress towards bot autonomy has also been made in the background, which we will share very soon. I'm definitely looking forward to that. This is quite silly. There's this director of the 2004 movie iRobot who says he wants his designs back. He says the bot looks... Oh, come on, the bot and the iRobot, these are supposedly the same? No way. Okay, here I see a bit more similarity, but definitely not enough to say, oh, you just took my design. Definitely not. And here, this is not an Audi, obviously. I mean, the Tesla car. I mean, are there similarities? Sure. Are there similarities between apples and oranges? They're both round, just like the Tesla Robotaxi has 4 wheels and that Audi has 4 wheels. Yeah. But are they very different cars? Absolutely. To me, this just seems like a cheap attempt to get some attention. Pay attention to this if you are a Tesla stock investor, especially. The more data we can access, the better. This is from TeslaScope. In the following weeks, TeslaScope will launch a trove of new features focusing on tracking, displaying, and reporting on FSD performance. Very important. TeslaScope aims to be the largest source of trustable and accessible data for Tesla's full self-driving builds. And they will do it all for free, at least initially. So we will have another source of intervention data, which is great. The more data, the better. Kevin O'Leary talked about Elon Musk. He said he would do a great job for every taxpayer in the US. Here's another reason why Elon Musk may want to get into the US government. We know that Tesla can now control bots remotely. I personally wonder, what does the USA military think about that? I also definitely assume that Elon Musk would make some serious cuts when it comes to the agencies that have been harassing SpaceX and even to some extent, Tesla. Recall, just a software update. There's no way that the people at these agencies, for example, NHTSA, don't understand that, oh, if it's just a software update and if we say it's a recall, people will actually think that they need to take their cars into the dealerships and they will think that these vehicles are not safe, even though we have data showing to us that people love the cars, people don't get into accidents as often with Teslas, and even if they do, they are safer, and they don't get recalled nowhere near as much as other vehicles, relatively speaking. Less than Toyotas even. And yet, knowing all of that, they still choose to go through with their old procedures and say, oh, yeah, there's another recall for Tesla. They better start changing their attitudes, otherwise their departments could be cut severely. It's not enough for them just to change their attitudes. They actually need to make some changes. Call them software updates, not recalls. We got some more good news here. Evercore just raised their Tesla stock price target to $195. So it's still lower than it should be, but hey, it's an increase. And we all know that generally Wall Street just follows what just happened. They don't necessarily anticipate what's going to happen. They just tell you, oh, the stock went up. Okay, so our price targets are going to go up. Stock's down. Okay, we should decrease our price targets. There are some exceptions, though. I know Dan Ives gets some flack for doing something similar to that. However, there's a big difference between being bearish on Tesla stock and adjusting your Tesla stock price targets and being bullish and never saying to sell Tesla stock, but adjusting your Tesla stock price target for the next 12 months over and over again. I don't have much of a problem with that. I mean, Dan Ives is a pretty smart man. He knows how to be in the news, and if you adjust your price targets regularly, that will make it much easier for you to go on a news show and have some headlines. He never said sell, he only said buy. So if you load up here a lot, you hold here, and if you bought some more here, that's okay. But you made a lot of money from the stock that you purchased here. And it doesn't matter much if he said, okay, now the Tesla stock price target is $300. And then the next week he says, okay, now it's $290. And then a week after that he says $350. Doesn't matter as long as directionally it's correct. Here, this is a bigger problem because directionally they are still incorrect. They are basically saying sell Tesla stock because their price target is still under what the stock is trading. Here's some good news for us Tesla stock investors. Tesla has officially received approval to proceed with the first stage of its Giga Berlin expansion plans, which will see the facility's production capacity more than double to 1 million cars per year, making it the largest automotive factory in the country. We're talking about Germany, the place to make cars for BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen. It's a bit embarrassing that Volkswagen sells relatively cheap cars and Tesla sells, still for now, relatively expensive cars. Tesla is going to manufacture more cars in one single factory in their own country than Volkswagen, which makes close to, depending on the year, about 10 million vehicles per year. Currently, Tesla still doesn't make the Model 3 in Giga Berlin, but after this expansion, I believe that's definitely going to change, and they will start making the Model 3, and they will make more affordable models over there as well. I wonder, will they make the Robotaxis in this factory too? There's a decent chance they will. We just need to solve full self-driving and then get approval in Europe as well. And we definitely know that there's some serious progress being made with getting approvals in Europe for customers to start using FSD. They still cannot, to this day, use FSD, even though when I drive on it, I'm sure it's actually safer, especially when I go through multiple lanes. Let's say there are 4 lanes on the road and I'm entering this intersection and I need to go from here to here and then there. On FSD, I feel I'm much safer because I can look one way and I know that FSD is looking in all directions. So if someone does something crazy and tries to get in my lane, FSD will notice that and start braking before probably I will notice it. Because I can only look in one direction, FSD sees everything 360. So with the current FSD version, the lawmakers in Europe, they are doing a huge disservice to the public by not allowing customers to use FSD. I also have an image of what the factory is going to look like. Feel free to pause if you're curious. This is some really good news. DHL says Tesla semi-truck is ready to roll based on trial. Now, why do you think a big company like DHL would want to say that? do you think is just to make itself sound good and look better, while Tesla is sometimes getting, criticized because of Elon? Or do you think it's because it just makes economical sense for them to do it? I have a theory based on answering the following question. Do you think that DHL loves money? I believe so. And my theory is they're going to make a lot more money eventually by using Tesla semi trucks. And we know that the Tesla semi is going to be available worldwide. And I really believe that many investors are not realizing how big of a deal the Tesla semi is going to be for Tesla and Tesla stock, relatively speaking, in terms of where the stock is and how much value there is left to be added just from the semi alone. One of the reasons why I remain an all-in Tesla stock investor in my stock portfolio is because I believe that Tesla is actually relatively diversified with a few of its products that are upcoming or that can be scaled. So that includes EVs, of course, and then the Tesla Semi, which many I believe are completely ignoring. I've done my numbers. You can see them on my Patreon if you want to see that. And then the Tesla Energy business, of course. And then there are a few little small businesses like the insurance business. And another thing that makes Tesla also more diversified is Tesla being led by Elon Musk, because Elon Musk always thinks of something new. If things are going bad, you can bet on Elon Musk to think of something good. So that really is a massive insurance policy. If you have studied Elon Musk extremely carefully, you will realize he performs extremely well. Then it really matters. Beating the market is extremely difficult, but I've been able to do it. Ron Barron, the billionaire, has been able to do it. And the way that he does it is he finds people to invest in, not necessarily companies, but people. And then these people start companies, he invests in them. Elon Musk being one very good example. He invested in Tesla, made so much money. And he's still very invested in Tesla. Invested in SpaceX, made so much money. He's still invested in SpaceX. Now he invested in XAI as well. And I believe that is going to make a lot of money for him. I wish I could easily invest in XAI. And I have been yapping about SpaceX for a while now, saying that I believe in the long term is going to be a great investment. And what did we just see? Starship booster being caught in the air and the Starship itself landing in the ocean for the first time. There's no way that in the long term, after this event, investors don't think that SpaceX should be worth more money. The 100,000 Tesla Cybertruck, it's 17,000 units almost, outsold the combined sales of all these EV pickup trucks in Q3. Ford F-150 Lightning, Hummer EV, Rivian, and GMC Sierra EV. Oh, well, this is just the beginning, by the way. I personally have not test driven the Cybertruck yet. However, my family just did, and they absolutely love it. Elon just said Cybertruck is such an awesome product. You don't realize how fun and useful it is until you try it. Now I really want to try it. It actually gets even more interesting here. Tesla Cybertruck was the third best-selling EV in the US in Q3, overtaking the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Come on, Ford, you can't even outsell a super expensive pickup truck. So in the US, Tesla has the top 3 spots, the Model Y, Model 3, and now the Cybertruck. So as we all know, there is no demand. No demand. Imagine going to the Olympics and you win gold, silver, and bronze. It sort of feels illegal, doesn't it? And the Foundation series hasn't ended yet, by the way. So this whole thing is just so impressive what Tesla has accomplished here. It's over $100,000 to buy. And here are all EVs sold in the US by their sales. Model Y, Model 3, Cybertruck, Mustang Mach-E, Honda, Hyundai, Chevy, Rivian, Cadillac, Ford, Kia, BMW i4, Nissan, Kia, BMW iX. Here's the Model S, and there's the Model X around here. We got the numbers from China for Tesla's last week, and the number is pretty much as expected, average. It's actually a little bit better than some of the previous quarters, second week of the quarter. We just got news that Tesla has moved $750 million worth of Bitcoin to a new wallet. Possibly, this could indicate that they are going to sell it. Tesla acquired Bitcoin for about $38,000 per Bitcoin, and yeah, Tesla could actually make a pretty nice profit if it sold the Bitcoin right now. This is going to be great news for some bigger families. Tesla has just launched the 7-seat Model Y in Europe and the Middle East. And a big shout out goes to Ashok Elwazwami, who has just been promoted to Vice President of AI Software at Tesla. He has been with the company for nearly 11 years now, and for the past 5.5 years, he has served as the director of autopilot software, although we sort of already knew that he was in charge of AI. And the Cybertruck account left this comment under this post. We all know what the deciding contribution was. Putting FSD in Cybertrucks, is that what the Cybertruck account is referring to? That's it for this video. I will see you guys back on Friday. Thank you so much for watching. By joining Patreon, you will have access to all of my exclusive videos on Patreon, as well as how much I am willing to pay for each Tesla share between 2024 and 2033. If you join the investor tier, you will also have access to my valuation model, where you will see all of my assumptions, including deliveries, the energy business, Tesla's future businesses like FSD, and of course much more. And then if you want to easily download that and put in your own numbers, then this third tier is for you. To all of my Patreon supporters, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet as well. It's really important to like the videos because that makes it less likely that the channel will be shadow banned later, like my other big channel got shadow banned before from about 50% of my regular viewers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.